Welcome to the Leadership Exposé podcast. This podcast is for purpose-driven leaders at diverse levels and organizations around the world who are seeking to scale and transform their leadership, to level up their business, and to create an impact in the lives of people all around them. Business and boardroom topics, trends, innovation, transformation, and the intersection with leadership is the focus. We enable success. I'm your host, Stephen Paul. In this episode, we welcome Alexis Monville. Alexis is the Chief of Staff at a large global technology company. He has worked in multicultural and distributed environments for years, has held several leadership roles. Alex is an author and a corporate leader, and we'll learn about Alex, his views on self-organization and building of leadership teams, agility, amongst other things, and his journey as well. Alexis, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being with us. How are you doing today?
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I'm good. Since I'm talking with you, I'm really good even. So, and thank you for the nice word in the introduction.
Wonderful, wonderful. Alexis, just before we started the podcast, we exchanged where we're located. But for the benefit of the audience, tell us where you're based in France.
Yeah, I'm based near Bordeaux in the southwest of France. So Bordeaux, I guess a few people will recognize the wine, of course. There's not only wine, but I have to admit I'm in the middle of a winery, so there's a lot of wine around
me. Some of us might be very envious about this, but I'll keep that to a separate conversation. Wine and so forth. But no, this is great that you're in a great location as well. Alexis, tell us a little bit about your personal journey, and the intersect with your professional journey as well.
Yeah. So I studied to be a mechanical engineer, and during my study, I was passionate about computers, and I was working as a developer for Macintosh. So that was a bit different from my original studies, and it was a long time ago. So we were not using computers as much as that time. I wanted to work in the automotive industry, which I did after that, thanks to my interest in computing in reality, because we were putting in place a big traceability system to track the process and the component of new anti-lock brake systems. ABS is obvious for everybody now. Nobody is telling us, oh, that car has the ABS and that car has not, because all cars have ABS now. But at that time, we were working on the first car that had anti-lock brake system. So you can see it was a really long time ago. So it was really interesting to work in the industry. I thought I would stay there forever. And my old friends from my study time called me and say, there's something incredible happening. It's the web. It will change the world. And I had hard times to believe them. But once we had the first conversation, I was absolutely convinced that it will change the world. But to give you an idea, in 1995, not a lot of people had access to the internet, the network, and not a lot of people knew what was the web, because it was invented in 1990. So the transformation potential of all that was really far away for people. So that's where we co-founded a company on the web. And I learned a lot in that, because we were 3 in 1995 and 850 in 10 countries in 2000 when I left to go to do something else, working with a lot of startups, and then working for the government on e-government, which was a totally different story, but was really fun, using the web to transform the administration, to transform the service we give to the public. Then creating another company, a consulting company this time, to connect the dots between all the things I've learned around Lean Six Sigma in the industry, Agile in software and transformation work, and combine all that to serve large enterprises and startups. One of those startups, I worked with them, was acquired by Red Hat, and Red Hat, I stayed with Red Hat until those days in different capacities, mainly to work on organizing teams and building leadership teams. So that was the long version. You asked for the long version?
I did, and I'm coming to some great points that you were just describing. I was listening with interest through that journey, and you've pivoted, through, some of these breakthrough technology you were mentioning about ABS engineering, to startups, to building startups, to moving into wider, larger corporate types of organizations, into building organizations, but also from a leadership team perspective as well. So what is your, and you've lived globally as well.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was not aware that it will change a lot of things in my life, but I was a very bad language student. I'm still are. It's still difficult for me to learn a language, even if I'm trying hard. Yeah. And I never thought I will work away from my country. Yeah. And I joined a global company. The first company I joined was a global company, and a lot of things was in English, and it was a struggle. Yeah. And then with a startup, I realized that we were in several countries, and I needed to really improve my English, and it was a struggle. At some point, it got slightly better, but it was still difficult. Of course, I moved to Boston a few years back, and I lived there for a few years. So at that moment, you will definitely improve. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's amazing to see how hard it was to learn a language 20 or 30 years back for people in France. And when I look at the young people nowadays, their English is really, really way better. We probably need to thank the internet and all the TV shows that they are looking without subtitles or with subtitles in English, so they can really learn the language and not listen to dubbed voice that are. So yeah, that part was really interesting, because you learn more working in a multicultural environment. Yeah. And working with teams and people that are coming from all over the world, you realize all the benefits from that diversity. Yeah. And of course, it's only one aspect of diversity. There's a lot of several other aspects, but it's already enriching your perspective and your ability to handle different situations.
Yeah, as you were describing, Alexis, it just dawned on me. We've had similar journeys as well, but one of the things that you mentioned around learning languages, and even with the current generation, younger generation, there's lots of information, lots of change that's going on, and nowadays the generation is kind of built for absorbing this change, and able to learn at pace, learn rapidly, whether it's a new language or whether it's a new topic, and the ability to absorb and to disperse that knowledge in practical ways is huge compared to maybe what it was a long time ago, before the web or the access to the web as a mechanism. So things have shifted.
Yeah, and I'm amazed that my youngest daughter once told me, I'm learning Spanish, and I was surprised because that was not in the curriculum at school. So, how are you learning Spanish? And she showed me her phone, showed me an app, and told me, I'm learning there. You should do it too.
Yeah.
And she challenged me to learn Spanish with that app, and I realized that first of all, it's addictive because there's ranking, there can win points and get to the next level. So there's a lot of gamification going on. But indeed, I was able to understand what people were saying in Spanish. Not really good at reproducing, and probably my ears are not so good, so I am not so good at speaking, and it takes a lot of confidence to start speaking. But I was able to understand, and I was, wow, that's cool. That's funny. I love it. So yeah, things have shifted, and if you want to learn something, you probably can, which is something that was probably a lot harder in the past.
And we have a lot of opportunities, tools, mechanisms at our disposal to do that and to face. Now it's just a matter of your will, your determination to actually make it happen and prioritize amongst all the different changes. But one of the things that I'm keen to hear from you, Alexis, is you've had a lot of experience and exposure with small companies, medium-sized companies, large corporates, and different cultures, different styles of organization. And with that comes different types of leadership as well. Yeah. Tell us your experience and your perspectives in that space.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because you realize that a lot rely on what leaders are ready to accept and what kind of leadership they are creating through their behavior. And in the first large company I worked with, my boss, not my direct boss, but the boss of the factory where I was working, that's the person who hired me, was really incredible, really incredible. He was providing a lot of autonomy to people, and you needed to learn really a lot. And of course, I was a beginner in that field. There was a lot of things that I did not understand. I was not really confident that I should decide on a few things. So basically every day I was in the office of my boss to ask him about something, his opinion about something. And I think it was during the first week, he told me, okay, I love to have you asking me all those questions. Those are really interesting topics. I'm really glad you are asking yourself those kind of questions. But if I hired you, it's probably because I wanted someone to answer those questions. So it's a little bit your job. So now, if you want me to do your job, I have a problem with that. So probably the next time you have a question, you figure out a way to answer it. I'm not saying answer it by yourself, but look around us. There's 500 people in that factory. You can probably find other people than me to try to answer that question. And don't believe I have all the answers. There's probably a lot of people around you that have those answers. Ask them. And so that was a clear signal that I should probably not come back in his office with another question the next day. And that was basically the permission to do just that, to engage with people, to ask them what they were doing, and ask them about what I was doing and what was my current challenge, and try to answer those questions. And along the way, I built some relationship. I had some struggle with some people, of course, but that was learning, and that was opening so many doors. That just that permission, and that was a lot of fun. When we moved the production to another factory, the management style was radically different. It was full command and control. I remember my boss knocking on his desk to tell me to do things because I didn't want to do it. I thought it was done. So I just said no. And he was knocking on his desk to tell me do it. I didn't do it anyway, but that was the kind of environment. People were, there was really that fear, and that was, wow. And basically what we did was to build a kind of room isolated from the rest of the factory. We built our own culture, and that was weird because we were building a BS that needed to be absolutely clean. So we had a special room that was in a slight surpressure, so to avoid the dust to come in. And we were wearing hats and special shoes and so on. So there was SAS to enter and to leave. So physically, it was a special space, but culturally, it was a special space. Because basically, we reproduced what we have learned from the other factory. That was not the culture of that old factory. That was really a command and control. And that was a special thing to realize that the way you behave with people will completely change their ability to contribute. And the people in our team were able to contribute what they were doing. And you are building things. You are on the factory floor, so there's people that are doing the same kind of move for the whole day. If you let them be only on one thing, on one position, which we did not. But that was something interesting to see how they were able to contribute to help us improve everything from the product to how we build the product. Because we created that. So that's the moment where you realize that culturally and a leader can influence everything in a totally different way.
Yeah, and you're a strong advocate of behaviors, as you were just describing, and behaviors depending on the type of culture an organization has. I mean, obviously, you might have a command and control type of a culture, and that might be accepted in that environment, and that's okay if that's accepted by all. I don't personally subscribe to it, but there are other organizations where different styles and different behaviors are advocated. So given all of that, from a behavioral perspective, values, types of organizations within large or even small types of organizations, where do you see your focus now in what you're doing?
I think the main thing is trying to find the best way so people can do their best work. When we discuss consumer products or even enterprise product, we speak about the customer experience.
Yeah,
and I love that because yes, we look at the experience, and the experience will do that. You will buy that product or not, or you will buy again a product from that company again or not. It's the experience will do it. The product will have a role to play in that experience, but the experience surrounding the product or the service will play a big role. And what I'm saying is your company, the organization of your company is the product, and the customer of that product are the employees.
Yeah.
So you want the employee experience to be the best possible one so that they can do their best work to serve your customers, to work with your partners, and so on. So if you think of the things this way, it's changed the way you envision the product. And you probably don't want them to waste time on useless things or to get the managers to be bottleneck for everything or things like that. So you changed your way of looking at the product. And to go back to those old years, I remember that how do you manage the holiday season? The holiday season in France or in other countries that have a little bit more holidays than 2 weeks, 2 weeks per year. You try not having all people that have the same skills on holiday at the same time, because if they are, you will lose that capability. So it cannot be delegated to others. So it's a problem. And I remember one manager in another area in the factory was telling me, I'm struggling with the holidays because all people are requesting the same days. It's awful. And he told me, are you struggling too? I said, no, I'm not. I said, I don't understand. You have probably 5 times more people than I have. So that should be awful for you. How are you doing it? I said, yeah, that's simple. We have a big board. That's the calendar. We have all the names. So it's really visible. And then people can position on the board when they would like to take their PTO days. But there's a rule. For one skill, there's always someone with that skill that is available in the factory.
Yeah.
So if you have special skills that are shared with only a few people, you need to agree with them that they don't ask for the same thing, because if not, it doesn't work, because you break the rules. So you need to agree with each other. If you're not able to agree with each other, then I will decide. But be careful, because if I decide, there's probably a chance that nobody will be on PTO in that period of time. So do you prefer nobody, or do you prefer to agree with each other that there's at least one?
Yeah.
That's on you.
Yeah.
But the transparency of it was really useful. And you can adapt that for anything. Of course, PTO is probably trivial. People will manage that easily. But remembering that, maybe asking people and building clear policies that we all agree upon, and being transparent about the information is key to that.
And in order to make that successful, or for a company to be successful, the things that you touched upon, policies, behaviors, skills, are these the types of conversations, in your view, that companies should be having at executive level, at board level, or is anything else?
Yeah, I think that should happen at the team level. That's having those conversations.
Primary, right? Because that's right where the things are happening, right?
Yeah, and they should have the autonomy to make decisions that affect themselves. Of course, there's decisions that sometimes are made at another level for a large variety of reasons. Regulations is one of them. You cannot really change the regulation when you are in a company. You can maybe influence it, but it's probably a long-term thing. So there's decisions that will be forced onto you and you cannot change them. But there's a lot of things that you can influence at the team level, and you should. And you should have those discussions. That's not only about execution, that's about how we work, the system that we build to deliver our work. That's also about the business, understanding the business we are in. Even if you are a small team in a large company, you probably want to know in which business we are and what are the drivers for the business, to really understand that what you are doing really contribute to the business, and things that maybe you don't value so much are really important for the business. So you need to understand that. And then the people part. Yeah, people love when they develop themselves. If you are stuck somewhere, or if you feel stuck, you will probably not stay, or probably not be as engaged as if you were learning every day. And people can do a lot of things in a team to continue to grow. It's not only a manager employee conversation. It should be a peer-to-peer conversation, because we can observe our peers, we can observe behaviors that are either really benefiting the company and themselves, and maybe behaviors that are not so great, and that if they could change that or stop doing that thing, they would dramatically increase their impact. And usually those things can be much more observed peer-to-peer than from a manager. So you can work on all those things as a team. And when you work on those things as a team, you are building really more interesting teams.
Is that one of the key challenges you're seeing within organizations, especially that peer-to-peer, at that team level, things are not cohesive, it's not actually happening, which means it has got a direct impact not only on products and services, but products as humans as well, employees, and then to the customer as well. Is that one of the challenges that you're
I believe it's a big challenge, because we don't necessarily always think in that way. And sometimes we put incentives that are made to motivate people, motivate employees, that are hurting those peer-to-peer relationships, their ability to collaborate, to deliver the product or services, but also to help each other. Mm. So if you have incentives that are really directed to individuals, or for example, you have quota to provide accelerated incentives or accelerated bonuses for 10% of your people or 20% or whatever the number, of course, you can think that those things are secret and nobody knows. But of course, as soon as you give the quota to a manager in the organization, other people will know. And at some point, it will be known by everybody. What do you think will happen? If you have a team of 10 people and they know that only 1 or 2 of them will have that special bonus, how do you believe they will collaborate? They will try to get that special bonuses. You put an incentive in place for a reason. So you will get the outcome. Yeah. So they will not necessarily collaborate the same way. They will more compete. Yeah. If you want that competition, great, you found the right incentive. If you want collaboration and people to support each other and so on and to help each other grow, you probably found the wrong incentive.
Yeah. Yeah. And Alexis, share with us, you've described a number of great interventions here. Are there any, formulas to success personally as a leader or even to an organization that you want to just bring out here?
The thing I really love doing, and that's for me or for a team at whatever level, that could be a team, really team of individual contributors or even a leadership team. It's really to think in terms of impact. What is the main objective we have? We can have several, but if you have one, it's better, but that's another problem. What is our objective? So why are we doing things? And that why is really important. And it's not only the youngest people, the youngest generation that are asking why. And a lot of people need to know why they are doing things. So you want that why. You want to be clear on what you are trying to achieve. So you have the why. What I love doing is working in terms of impact and drawing an impact map and looking at who are the stakeholders that will help me achieve my why, or not help me, prevent me to achieve my why.
True.
And what kind of behavior they need to adopt for me to achieve my why. And looking at things this way help really to prioritize the work that you are doing. Because then you have that why, you have that who are the stakeholders, you have the behavioral change that you want to affect, and then you decide what to do to get that behavioral change. And you can focus on something. You say, okay, maybe this quarter we should focus on that behavioral change for those stakeholders. That's all what we will do. And then you work with the team to brainstorm, to think about what are the things we can do to influence that behavioral change. And it's really powerful because even if you are doing that as an individual, there's 1,000 things you would do. So I can list all of them and try to prioritize. I will fail every time because it's really hard. I end up with 100 priority 1, and what does it mean? Yeah. Priority should be something we use in the singular form, not in the plural form. So I need something to help me prioritize. The prioritization is what behavioral change from what stakeholders. And that's really helping me. So I would say the secret sauce is do your impact map. As an individual or as a team, it works the same way. As a company, you can do it. You can do it at all levels. It's the same formula. Yeah. When you have a clear impact map, when you know what kind of behavioral change you want to affect, basically you just discovered your key result and you know your objectives. So you can put in place OKRs that make sense.
Yeah. I'm a strong advocate of the impact map, and how you described it makes a lot of sense. And I'm thinking, when you develop that impact map individually, you become aware and you become empowered not only for yourself, but also how you would be influencing others and the behaviors that you would need to either receive or send, to prioritize, for example, or to do the work that you need to, to effect on other people. So, it's not, you're not doing that just for the sake of doing a piece of work for other people, but you're actually doing it for your own goodness as well.
Yeah, and the fun part is when you try to do an impact map, usually you realize that you probably don't know who the stakeholders are.
True.
So you need to get out of your office and find out and talk to people to find out who the stakeholders are really.
Yeah.
And you probably don't even know what kind of behavioral change they need to adopt. So you need to, that's an inquiry process, and that's a recurring process. Along the way, you will meet other people. And if you show them your impact map, they will tell you, oh, no, you're wrong. That's not the way it works. That works in another way. And in fact, those partners are really more important. And you will have an interesting conversation. And you will find out people that will tell you, oh, you know what? I know how to help you with that.
Yeah.
And suddenly you are building new opportunities for collaboration.
Yeah.
So yes, you are doing that for you or for your team or with your team. But in reality, you are creating opportunities and connection with others.
Yeah. No, wonderful. Alexis, you're a leader in your own right. So what does a day in the life of Alexis look like these days?
It really depends, because I am in a kind of weird world. So nowadays, basically the things that have a clear owner in my organization, I basically don't care about those things, because they have a clear owner. People will do their job. Usually they don't need someone else to tell them to do their job. The challenges are coming when there's no really clear ownership on something. And you think something should happen, but there's no clear ownership. So in that case, you need to identify, either you need to do it yourself, that's a problem, because when you are doing that, then what else will come? Or you need to identify the people or the group of people that are able to have an impact on that thing that needs to be done. And that's basically my work. So it's really fluid, because it's working with someone who is really busy, of course, and finding ways to increase his impact by making sure he's working on the most important things, and our staff is working on the most important thing, and finding a way that for the things that are coming that don't have clear ownership, that they happen. So basically finding ways to make it happen by finding the right people to work on it. And sometimes it's also deciding that, no, we will not do that. That sounds really amazing, but no. If you look at the impact map, it doesn't serve us.
Yeah.
We will not do that.
Yeah.
Saying no is part of it. So it's an important, interesting part of it.
Yeah, wonderful. Alexis, we're coming to a close very shortly. Is there any closing messages or a challenge to other teams and leaders that you want to state here?
Yeah, I would say probably it would be great, whatever your position in your development journey, your position in your career. It would be great if you were able to find a mentor. That would be fantastic. And it would be fantastic if you were a mentor to someone else, to one or more person. Because those relationships are really important to grow. And that's also important for you to share a little bit what you've learned along the way. And the mentor-mentee relationship are always interesting, because it's really social learning. The one who learns the most is not necessarily the mentee. So it's always interesting relationship. So if I had something, find a mentor and be a mentor for others.
Wise words from Alexis. Thank you very much, Alexis, for being with us today and for sharing your journey and your insights. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Have a good one.
Wonderful. Okay, folks, thank you very much for listening in, and stay tuned for our next episode on a chartered tax expert who shares her journey on building the next generation of tax professionals globally while sharing tax secrets for businesses and individuals. We'll hear more about that from an expert. Stay tuned and continue to stay on to hear more about an interesting offer. Cheers. Hey, I hope you enjoy the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You're now seeing this part of the video also because you consume some of my content, insights, and teachings. Maybe you've been to my LinkedIn page or website or seen other social media ads or listened to my podcast. I'm Stephen Paul, a business and transformational executive coach, strategic advisor, leader, and board member. I've been in diverse roles, corporate executive, entrepreneur, and worked with businesses and firms of all sizes, built and launched businesses, created high-impact boards, and so forth in 4 continents. I get it. I've been there, done that, but what is different is I bring a unique perspective and a playbook. I've helped 100+ business leaders just like you to scale and align their leadership top teams, the board, and overall business for growth. Leaders like Ivana from medium-sized company in the EU who grew 150% and expanded globally in under 5 months. After she started to work with me over facilitated sessions in an initial 3 days, I helped fine-tune their strategy and align their leadership team and board to be a cohesive driving force to achieve their dreams and outcomes. I want to teach you the same thing and more on how to scale and align your leadership team and board so you can increase your business growth and value. Get clarity on what is the next right strategy for you. There are multiple ways we can work with you. Number 1, click the link for a free, non-obligatory 60-minute initial strategic session. Let's get a feel for your dreams, your vision, your challenges, and let me convert that into a route map for you where we can co-develop and co-pilot. Number 2, enroll in an innovative and intuitive digital online course that I have created to help you transform. It's called Unshakable Resilience. It is the ultimate program for individuals and business leaders like you who want to be equipped at a personal and professional level to respond to any form of challenges or in crisis situations and take on opportunities with grit, resilience, and build a mindset of success. In essence, you want to be unshakable, thrive in crisis, take on opportunities in the face of adversity, and build a success mindset. So, click the link below to learn more on how I can personally help you individually and your firm to scale and align your leadership team and business and pivot in a transformational way. And for you to experience this, whatever the challenge you're facing, get in touch with me. Let's discuss, and I will share my insight rapidly to enable your transformation. Click the links below.